It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? And of course, you are knowing exactly what you are wanting, yes? And even before it manifests into your experience, you are so thrilled with the idea of the desire that you don't really care if it ever comes, because the desire feeds you, yes? No. Eventually you will be there again. That's how you felt when you made the decision to come forth into this body. The idea of being able to focus and therefore summon source energy, understanding that in your attention that you would cause a vibrational frequency within yourself that by law of attraction would summon all things necessary for the fulfillment of it. And just with the promise of that idea, you boldly came forth into that scrawling, screaming, naked little body of a being, trusting you could not walk, you could not communicate with words, you didn't know anything about those ways and people that you would be interacting with, and you felt only eagerness because you understood so fully the promise of law of attraction, and most importantly, you understood the worthiness of your own beingness. You knew that you were not going forth to earn your place. You knew that you were not going forth to fix something that was broken. You knew that you were coming forth into an environment of well-being, and that well-being would naturally be yours. And you knew that you were coming forth into a body that had a sophisticated means of reading energy. And you knew that your physical senses would interpret the vibration and help you to know through sight and sound and taste and touch. You knew that these physical senses would help you to perceive your environment. But most importantly, you knew that you would be born with an emotional guidance system that would let you know in every moment the only thing, now think about it, the only thing that would be important to someone traveling from the well-being of non-physical into the new dimension of physical time-space reality on planet Earth, you knew the only thing that was important was your awareness of your connection with your source. So you understood that your emotions were just that. You knew that you would be able to tell by the way you feel your connection to that source energy. And you knew from this loving, liquid love, permeating, enveloping environment of pure positive energy, you knew that as you came forth into this physical environment that you would be able to feel your harmony with that energy of source and well-being, or you would be able to feel when you were vibrationally getting a little off signal. You know, in your physical world, that you cannot set your radio on 98.6 and listen to what's being broadcast on 101 FM. You know that the frequencies have to line up in order for communication to be effective and satisfying. And it is the same with your connection to your source energy. You have to line up with source in order to allow it fully. Now, you can never pinch it off, not all the way. You could get close to it and then you'd croak. And it is not from pinching off energy that you croak, by the way, but sometimes you get pretty pinched off before you croak. We like that word. It is so disrespectful. And since there is not death, we think we should mock it all we can. But you knew that when you came forth into this physical environment that you would be able to feel your connection to that source energy, and you knew that if you were to find things to focus upon that were not in alignment with that which your source knows, that you would be able to tell by the mismatch in frequency. You'll literally feel static in your frequency. You would literally feel the resistance, and that is what negative emotion is every single time. The more emotion you feel, the more energy you are summoning through the power of your desire. The better it feels, then the more in alignment with your source you are while you're fixated on your objects of attention. The worse it feels, the more out of alignment you are with your source. So, as you begin to pay attention to the way you feel, you have absolute guidance in every moment of your experience about that connection. And of course, many of you, as you are deliberately aligning to this energy of source, you're getting to recognize that you can really summon it and you can really allow it, and that feels really good. Sublime even. ecstasy even. That's what feelings of love. Love's a tricky word though, because often you use it when you aren't feeling it. But appreciation, you can feel your connection to your source energy. And you can feel your resistance. So there is the allowing of that which you are, and there is the resisting of that which you are. Now, as we talk about this business of being a deliberate creator, as we talk about the science of deliberate creation, sometimes you get sort of overly focused upon goal setting or upon thinking about what you want, and all of that is wonderful. We want you to think about what you want. This time-space reality, in fact, everything in the universe as we know it to be, is a contrasting experience which helps you, even us. Although our contrast would be indiscernible to you, but there is contrast in everything which helps all of us as creators to focus. And then as we find our object of attention, we are summoning source energy toward it. That's how everything is created. When you're in alignment with your source while you are doing the summoning, it's a blissful experience. That's why desire feels fresh. That's why desire feels so good. Desire in its purest form, and desire in the way we mean it to be, is always a delicious experience. But if you desire something and you've practiced thoughts that make you not believe it is possible, then your thought of doubt is causing an addition of vibrational frequency to your vibrational mix, and you are, to the degree of your doubt, resisting the vibration of your desire. And that's why that doubt in the pit of your stomach feels like fear, or it feels like anxiety, or it feels like disappointment. In other words, you use a lot of different words in your physical environment to describe these emotions. Sometimes we think it would be easier for you to just play your childhood game again of hot and cold. Sometimes we think it would be easier for you to say there are only two emotions, one feels good and one feels bad, and while there is an infinite range in between, I'm always moving towards the one that feels the best. But as you give them different words, they are applicable. We notice, as we visit with you, about the way you feel, that often, in fact, almost always, as someone sits in the hot seat and we engage the audience to find the word that best seems to describe the way this person is seeming to feel, it is uncanny how accurate you are in your choosing of the word. It is also interesting and very pleasing that you can feel the vibrational frequency of those emotions. You can feel the higher, purer frequencies of passion and enthusiasm, those feelings of freedom and empowerment. You can feel what those frequencies feel like, just like you can feel the other end of the spectrum, those feelings of disempowerment, those feelings of powerlessness. And so, as we are visiting here today, we want you to get in touch with the idea of this emotional gauge, this spectrum of emotions. And we would like you to spend the rest of your physical life knowing so well what these emotions mean that you are always reaching for the best feeling thought that you have access to in any moment. Joseph Campbell said, "Best words we have ever heard coined, follow your bliss." And anyone who would do that is bound to live happily ever after, is bound to be the creative genius you've come forth to be, is bound to stay in full connection with the source that is you, is bound to fulfill every hope, dream, desire that you could ever conjure, is bound to be the master of deliberate creation and fulfilling of one's life purpose. However, when you have been focusing upon aspects of your life experience, and you have beat the drum of a situation long enough that you've established a sort of vibrational pattern frequency within you, no matter how many times someone tells you to follow your bliss, you don't have access to bliss from agony. You just can't get there in one fell swoop. It's a gradual thing. And so, instead of saying follow your bliss, while we adore those words, we are going to suggest that you reach for the best feeling thought that you have available. And that when you find it, that you pat yourself on the back and say, I did all right here. Sometimes someone will be experiencing something as severe as depression. Maybe someone that they care about has died. and they don't understand their connection and they are suffering the loss. There are all kinds of things that take you sometimes, or take some of you sometimes, into that extreme place of resistance where your emotion runs pretty steady in that fearful, disempowered, can't get a breath of air mode. So if we were visiting you and you were in that place, we would do everything that we could do to induce a little anger in you. Sounds strange, we know. But the vibrational frequency of anger is so much less than the vibrational frequency of that disempowering depression that if we could get you to focus on something that makes you angry, your vibration would shift, and we think then you might get a breath of air. In fact, we think you know that. We think at unconscious levels that's why so often you shift to something that makes you angry when you are in that suffocating place of depression. There are many who turn to drugs or alcohol who find some relief in that. There are many counselors who find you naturally in your state of anger, who would counsel you against anger because those around you don't like it very much. They would frankly rather that you are depressed. When you're depressed, you don't turn it on them. You usually just go off and sulk somewhere, while when you are angry, sometimes they get the brunt of it. And so most who are outside of you would suggest that your anger is inappropriate. But we would say to you, anything that feels the slightest bit better than where you are is appropriate and is a good and effective step for you to take. Now, don't go home and tell everyone that Abraham is giving you sessions on getting really mad at everybody, because if you are in a place of frustration or overwhelmment, we would never encourage you to get angry, because that's going the wrong way on the emotional spectrum. Jerry and Esther were traveling a great deal from San Diego to Phoenix, back and forth. They were actually living in Phoenix, so it was Phoenix to San Diego to Phoenix. And as they would leave Phoenix, get out on the open road, about halfway of the 400-mile journey is a city called Yuma, Arizona. And when they would find themselves in Yuma, even though they really wanted to be in San Diego, they did not have an emotional meltdown. Oh, what are we doing in Yuma? Because they knew that if they stayed pointed in the direction of San Diego and kept moving, that they would be where they wanted to be. It's easy to understand those kinds of distances, isn't it? It's easy to say, well, here I am, and if I point myself in the direction of where I want to be, and I keep making some effort, eventually I'm going to get there. But we see you, relative to things that you're wanting to create, going from Phoenix to Yuma and being so upset that you're in Yuma that you get you go back to Phoenix. And then you get all the way back to Yuma, but you're so upset that you're not yet in San Diego that you just get disoriented and you end up back in Phoenix again. Before this day is over, you will have clear understanding of your guidance, and you will always know which direction you're facing. In short words, we would say to you that as long as you're feeling good, you're headed in the right direction. And it takes a little bit of awareness of how you are feeling. And sometimes in the beginning, you're not quite sure, but the more you play with this, the more confident you become in knowing that you are moving in the right direction. Jerry and Esther have a navigational system in their vehicles. It is called Magellan. There are satellites in the sky and an antenna on their roof and a computer brain in the vehicle. And the brain, because of the triangulating satellites, always knows where they are. So, as Jerry and Esther put the information into the computer about where they're wanting to go, Magellan maps it, tells them how far it is, and tells them, go this way, turn right, turn left, take the next exit. Magellan never says, where have you been? Because it is of no interest whatsoever. It has nothing to do with the relationship between where you are and where you are going. Magellan never says, how long have you been there? All of that is irrelevant. None of that makes any difference. Magellan, like source energy and like the guidance within you, is only interested in helping you to get from wherever you are to where you want to be, and will give you constant feedback to let you know.